uh, the new part, which is where we are going to discuss two different algorithms. Let's see if how much of these two we can cover. One is k nearest neighbor algorithm, and the second one is k means clustering. Okay, so we'll start with the k nearest neighbor. Now, k nearest neighbor is a supervised learning algorithm, and it is very simple and it is very popular because of its simplicity. So first we are going to deal with k nearest neighbor. We also call it as KNN. What we'll do is we'll try to solve it by hand. We'll try to go into the formal steps and all later. But what we'll do is first we'll solve it by hand, and the steps and the formalization part can be done later. So let's say I'm going to take a problem straight away. So let's say we have data from a survey, and we were testing acid durability and strength to classify a special tissue paper is good or not. So there are two attributes, that is acid durability and strength. For and the object under investigation is a special paper tissue. So this special paper tissue, we have some data related to it. The data is somewhat like this. Let's say x1 is a variable which is indicating acid durability, AD I'm writing. X2 is strength, and then classification. So the parameters, so this is an acid durability in whatever units we have for acid durability. In terms of seconds, actually time units, it is there in time units, and strength is in kg per meter square. Okay, so 7 units, 3 units, and 1 unit. Correspondingly, you have 7, 4, 4, and 4. And the paper tissue having 7 and 7 units, it's classified as bad tissue, bad paper tissue. This one is also bad, and this one is good. So here we are doing labeling. This is a labeled data. Hence, KNN is falling in the category of supervised learning. Okay. Now, next what we do is, can you tell how do we go ahead with this? What we are supposed to do? Anyone? Can anyone make a guess?
So
What
we
are we
give
doing?
the data to the system, and then we ask it to classify if the data is if the data points of x1 x2 are good, are falling under good or bad category.
But we need to give some data to it for
Yeah.
to classify, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the data which we are going to give it to classify is x1 is 3 and x2 is 7. Now I want to know x1 equal to 3 and x equal to 7 is a good, falls in the classification of good or bad. Okay. So for this, we are going to apply the KNN. Very simple. Okay. So first, what do is we find out distance of 3 and 3,7. We simply write it as 3,7 from each of these. So we extend this table. I'll remove this. Make a new table instead. So for x1, x2, and here we find square distance to query instance. Square distance to query instance. Okay, so for example, this is 7, 7. So we find out the square distance. What will be the value? Yeah, 16. Similarly, 7 and 4, and similarly 3 and 4, and similarly 1 and 4. We find out the query distance for all. So tell me for the second one.
9.
Huh?
9.
Second one is 25 or 9?
9, sir, 9.
So 25.
25, right? And the third one is 9, and the fourth one is 13, right? Next, what we do is we arrange them with respect to the distance, or we give them rank with respect to distance. Okay, so the least distance is here, the second least distance is here, third and fourth, with respect to the distance from the point which we are investigating. Okay, so now here we have to specify that what is the value of k. In k nearest neighbor, we have to specify the value of k, that is how many neighbors am I going to consider. Neighbors means they belong to the same class. They possibly belong to the same class. So here if k is equal taken equal to 3, that means I take the first 3 ranks. Okay, so is it included? Is it a neighbor? Is it a neighbor? So is it a neighbor? This is yes, this is a neighbor because k is equal to 3. Is 4 a neighbor? No, because k is equal to 3. That is first three closest points I'm taking. This is a neighbor, yes. And is this a neighbor? Yes. Okay. Next, what we do is we write the corresponding value of y, which the predicted, not the predicted, but the labeled value of y we write over here. So 7, 7, it was classified as a bad tissue. Okay, this one we are not considering because it is no. And this one is considered a good tissue. This one is considered to be a good tissue. Now, the simplest of the rule is to see that in k equal to 3, 2 are good and 1 is bad. So we take the majority. It is a labeled data and categorical as well. So we take first 2, like that. In 3, 2 are good and 1 is bad. So this tissue 3,7 can be put in the category of good. So it is classified as good. So this happens when you have the labeled data which is categorical in nature. Yeah, this is a category, no? Good and bad. So when your labeled data is in a category, then we consider this kind of situation where you are counting the majority. Okay, so here the majority is good in 3, k equal to 3. Okay, and it is also advised that we should always take k as odd number. Can anyone tell why? Why should we take k is equal to an odd number?
Sir, so that we can clearly have a majority.
Yeah, we can break the tie. So as to break the tie, right? I mean, not the tie means you don't get a like even that too good and too bad. So that kind of situation should not be there. So for simplicity, we start with k equal to 1 does not make any sense. K equal to 2 we avoid uh, to get any ties, and we start with generally k equal to 3. Then you can go to k equal to 5, 7, 9, depending on the size of the data you have. Okay, so that is about KNN algorithm. Now this is when your labeled data or the dependent variable is a categorical variable. What if the dependent variable is a quantitative variable? So we'll take that problem as well. Okay, so let's take one more problem where your dependent variable is a quantitative or non-categorical variable. So let's say you have a time series data. What is a time series data? Anyone can tell me?
Sir, when the variability is with respect to time only.
Not necessarily. Yeah, I mean, with respect to time, you can say something which changes with time and which is either increasing or decreasing, or there's a trend with respect to time. Okay, so then we say it is a time series data. So let's say we have X and Y. So X is a time series data, that is, it is increasing with time. And the corresponding value of the dependent variable. So y is an dependent variable and x is the independent variable. It is again labeled. So for every corresponding value of x, we are getting a value of y. Now we want to predict, corresponding to x equal to 6.5, what will be the value of y. We anyway know regression we can use, okay, but this is another technique which we can apply, which is KNN. So just like in the previous one, what we do over here is that we find the distance. Now it is upon you whether you want to find out distance using the square formula, or you can just find out the absolute value of the distance by subtracting. So depends on the situation which you are in. I mean, if you got negative and positive values both in the independent variable, then you can use the square one. While if you have only positive values, so you can comfortably use the simple deviation. Like if I want to find out for 6.5, right? So corresponding to 6.5, what is the distance between 6.5 and 1? It is 5.5, right? Similarly, distance between 6.5 and 1.2 is 5.3. Distance between 3.2 and 6.5 is 3.3. And this is 2.5. And this is 1.4. Okay, now which are the nearest neighbors to 6.5? We can see these two are the nearest neighbors to 6.5. Okay, and what are their corresponding y values? Corresponding y values for 2.5 for corresponding to this is 27 and this is 28, right? We know 27 and 28. So for 6.5, it's going to be the average of the two. So that is 17.5. This comes out as 17.5, which is the average of the two. So k nearest neighbors, although it is now here there are, k has been taken as 2 because it is non-categorical data. Here you can take k equal to 2 because y is non-categorical. You can also take 3 and all, but then how do we decide which to take, 2 or 3? So if you take 3, you might get even higher forms of the averages, although this is not very much recommended way of doing it, but this is just a representation of how it can be done uh, in terms of k nearest neighbor, KNN. So what we have seen is that for categorical and non-categorical labeled data, how can we apply the KNN? Okay, now what are the advantages and disadvantages of KNN? So advantage of KNN is it is pretty much robust to noisy form of the data. Okay. And especially if while finding out distance, we use inverse square of, I mean, you can go into the higher forms of finding distance. The research in KNN goes in what formula should we use to calculate the distance. So if there is a lot of noise in the data, you can use inverse square of the weighted distance. Okay, so that can be used, and it was also useful for large data sets. It is very much effective for large data sets. Okay, although we have just done the practice in for smaller ones only, where I mean this is not even small, you won't call it, is a very tiny, because we want to do it by hand. So this is for large data sets, it is suitable and more effective. Disadvantages are so k is subjective. So we need to find out what is the value of k all the time. So there's a lot of hit and trial which is involved. So you can say this is the it's one of the parameters which is difficult to determine. It's a hyperparameter. And what type of distance formula to be used? That is another problem in this. You have to really understand the data. Should we be using square distance or inverse square distance? Should be what type of distance can we use? You have to study the variable, I mean the value of the variables, then only you can think about using the particular type of distance formula. The another thing which is always there, I mean it's a general problem, is the selection of the variables, independent variables. The selection of independent variables is an issue because see, in regression you have ways of determining which variable should we take and which variable should we not take, so that it will increase the value of R square. So in regression you have R square as an indicator, which is very statistical learning. Regression technique is a statistical learning based. while KNN is not statistical. So it poses a problem over here on the validity of the uh, affecting variables. Uh, so, and the computation cost may get a bit high. Or you can say computationally it becomes cumbersome at times when the distances to be calculated are too many. Okay. So this is mostly KNN. Any doubt in this KNN? Now I'm taking attendance. Okay, Shubham.
Then, sir.
The Shubham Jha
Then, sir.
and Shubham Goyal,
Yes, sir.
Abhishek Chaudhary,
Yes, sir, present.
Mehtab Alam,
Yes, sir. Present, sir.
Vinay Kumar Singh,
Yes, sir. Present, sir.
Ankita,
Present, sir.
Mohit, Debshruti,
Yes, sir.
Sanidhya,
Present, sir.
Shashwat,
Present, sir.
Sriram,
Present, sir.
Neeraj,
Yes, sir.
Madhuri,
Yes, sir.
Naman,
Yes, sir.
Utkarsh, Himanshu,
Present, sir.
Devesh,
Yes, sir.
Ved Prabha,
Present, sir.
Paras.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we'll start again. Now we talk about k-means. So in k-means, it is slightly different from what we have. Slightly, or you can say the whole purpose itself is different. In k-means, it is non-supervised or unsupervised, sorry. It is unsupervised form of learning. So I'll first take the example. Straight away we'll talk about an example over here. So let's say we have several points, say A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, A6, A7, and A8. 8 different points are there and their coordinates are given. Two comma 10, 2 comma 5, 8 comma 4, 4, 5 comma 8, yeah, 5 comma 8, 7 comma 5, 6 comma 4, 1 comma 2, and 4 comma 9. Okay, so these points are there. I mean, and just we need to find out a common ground to classify them. It's like if I'm having many sets of points, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now with the help of k-means, can I make them into two clusters like this? I mean, although it, right, getting it. So later I'm going to find out what is the common thing about these clusters. Okay, these points. What is the common thing about these points? Or what name can I give to these points? In KNN, we had already classified them as good and bad, but we don't know about that whether I should classify them as good and bad or black and white or beautiful and not so beautiful. Getting it? So I don't know about that. So how do I classify it? So this is a classification algorithm, k-means, and in the classification algorithm, what we do first is we randomly take, let's say, we have to first decide the value of k. So we take 3 points, initial cluster centers we have to take. So here, let's say k equal to 3. So we want to make 3 clusters out of it. How do I know I want to make 3 clusters? Let's say I've got apples, oranges, and tell me a fruit which is like that, and a peach. Okay, apple, oranges, and peach. All are round and all have similar looks beside color and all. So I want to classify them into apples, oranges, and peaches, and my eyes are closed. Okay, so there'll be some sort of variables which I'll fill. Like I pick up, my eyes are closed, I can't see and I can't smell. So I feel the texture of the skin. So the oranges have dots on the skin. I mean, the skin is rough, while the skin of apple is smooth. Okay, and the skin of the peach is a little bit of hairy. So these are the 3 variables. Okay, what else could be there? Density, you can try to press it. So peach and orange will be compressible, while apple you can't compress, it is solid. Okay, and the kind of noise, if you knock on the apple, what kind of noise it makes a hollow noise, right? While the kind of noise, if you knock on an orange or an peach, the kind of noise which is going to come out will be different. So these are the variables with which we can consider, like 2 comma 10, 2 comma 5, 8 comma 4. We can write them like these. Okay, and now the next what do we do is, although I've given you an example which is totally based on categorical data, but similar examples could be there, like it's a pressure, force, and then you can find out whether the situation of a certain machine is critical or non-critical. We want to classify them as critical and non-critical, and you don't know, you have never known that what set of parameters will make it critical and what set of parameters will make it non-critical. You don't know that, but I want to classify it into 2. Similarly, for apples, oranges, and peaches, I want to classify them into 3, but I don't have the labeled data. Okay, so then that's why it is unsupervised. Now, 3 points are taken as centers, or you can say they are taken as initial cluster centers. So initial cluster centers are taken over here. So we take A2 as one cluster center, we take A4 as another cluster center, and A7 as another cluster center. Now, after taking them as cluster centers, what do we do next is we make a table. You note down these values. I'll shift it this side so that you can note it down, and I'll make a table at the same time. So given points, write it here. Then we write distance from A2, distance from A4, and distance from what was the third one? A7. Okay, so we say it is cluster 1, cluster 2, and cluster 3. Distance of individual point. So all the points we can write them over here: A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, A6, and A7. For simplicity, we just use the formula for calculating the distance as x2 modulus of x2 minus x1 plus mod of y2 minus y1. We simply use this distance.
Sir, is there any specific reason why we have chosen A2, A4, and A7 as the initial cluster centers only?
No, there's no specific reason. As I've said, arbitrarily we have taken. This is the iteration 1.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So for A1, a distance between A1 and A2, let me write that. So distance between A1 and you can say A1 and this one. So what will that be?
5.
This is 5. Then the first, this one A1 and 2 comma. I think I should write. I should also write the coordinates. So this is 2 comma 10, right? Actually, this is A1, right? 2 comma 10. So this one is not A2, but A1 has been taken. Just a second. A1 has been taken. So we write it as A1 over here. Okay, so distance between A1 and A1 is 0. This is 5. And distance between A1 and A7 is
9.
9. Okay, and here we write point belongs to the one which is having the shortest. We say it belongs to that cluster. So cluster, so C1, it is 0, so we write it as C1, cluster 1. So 1 C1, this is C1, C2, and C3. We can say that cluster 1, cluster 2, and cluster 3. Okay, and similarly A2, can you fill all these? Okay, I'll do the first one, and the second one you will do on your own. 5, 6, 4, and this one will be 12, 7, 9, then Next one will be 5, 0, 10. And then you have 10, 5, and 9. And this is 10, 5, and 7. And A7 is 9, 10, and 0. And if you go a bit below, A8 also we need to make. A8 will be 3, 2, and 10. Okay. And the corresponding clusters center we can write to which cluster they belong to. It belongs to C3, belongs to C2, belongs to C2 again, belongs to C2, C2, C3, and C2. So we can see here that among 8 points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 belongs to C2, 2 belongs to C3, and 1 belongs to C1. Okay. The next thing what we do is we find out the new cluster center. So this was iteration 1. Iteration 1. In iteration 2, to start with iteration 2, we again find new cluster centers. New cluster centers. So that is C1, C2, and C3. So the new cluster centers are, so first cluster is C1. There's only 1 point in C1, so that will remain same, which is 2, 10. 2, 10. Okay. And C2 would be C2 has 5 points: A3, A4, A5, A6, and A8. Okay. So for cluster 2, what do we do is we find out the average. So C2 average would be 12 plus 5 plus 10 plus 10 plus 3 divided by 5. Similarly, second one would be something. So the value for C2 would be coming out as 6,6. And for 3 it would be, can you tell me the value of C3? Cluster centers for C3? C3 it will be 1.5 and 3.5. Okay, so C1, like we get it over here. Now, what do we do next? Can anyone tell what do we do next? So our iteration 1 is totally complete. We get new cluster centers. Now we are ready to do iteration 2. Iteration 2. Yeah. Now all of you will have to send me the revised table for iteration 2 and the new cluster centers for iteration 2. All of you do that.
सर
Yeah.
सर C2 and C3 कैसे कैलकुलेट किया वो समझ नहीं आया.
Like take C3. I mean C2 I've already told. Average the first coordinate and average of the second coordinate. Whoever.
Okay.
Yeah. So just look at this table over here. Like in C2 you have A3, A4, A5, A6, and A8. Okay. So the average for first coordinate average would be 5 plus 12 plus 5 plus 10 plus 10 plus 3 divided by 5. And for the second coordinate, it will be 7 plus 0 plus 5 plus 5 plus 2 divided by 5.
Okay.
Okay, similarly, we do it for C3.
Okay, sir. So we are taking the values of first and second cluster only. Like we are not considering the A7 column.
No. Sorry. Sorry. Actually, the values are given over here. Uh, just let me clear it. I somehow I thought that these are the coordinates. So
Okay, sir.
I'll clear it up and I'll write that again. So C2 will be yeah, we can keep that here. So it's going to be C2 will be coordinate that is 2 plus no, A3, right? So 8 plus 5 plus 7 plus 6 plus 4 divided by 5. Now is it okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now it's okay.
Yeah. So similarly, you do it for C3. Thanks for pointing it out. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Now you do it. Now you do the next iteration and tell me the centers, the new centers. Send it in the WhatsApp group. Your hand calculations, send it in the WhatsApp group.
Sir, what we have to choose? Last previous slide, you have chosen A1, A4, and A7. So for now, next iteration, what we have to choose? A2, A3, and A6.
Your A1, A4 are now replaced. No, I mean your new centers will be there. Like the distance which you are calculating, no, here like you're calculating. So instead of uh, writing A1, basically what we have to do is इसके अंदर से you have to remove this. इसको remove कर देते हैं. You
You
have
have to
to
remove
remove.
A1.
यहाँ पे remove करके we write the coordinates from which we are the center coordinates. Okay, so the first center coordinate is 2 comma 10. You can write that over 2 comma 10. What is the second center coordinate? 6 comma 6. And the third is 1.5 and 3.5 something, right? Is it okay?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So I see Dev Shruti Shashwat have sent, and Shubham Agrawal. Yeah, so the solution which you have sent is correct. Okay. Now my next question to all of you is that where do we stop? Shall we keep on doing it all the time?
Sir, there is an observation which I made earlier
Yeah.
in the first iteration. We were having only. Hello?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hello? Am I
Yeah.
audible?
Yeah.
Sir, actually, I was saying I had an observation. In the first iteration, we were having only one point in the cluster one, but in the second iteration, we are having 2 points in the cluster one.
Yeah.
So is there anything related to where we have
Okay.
to stop? Is anything related to that?
No, it is not related to that.
Okay.
See, what happens is when your cluster centers no more get updated. Getting it? Now, the
Okay,
question is
sir.
it possible that our cluster center stops getting updated? When is it possible? When your cluster centers may stop getting updated?
Sir, it is possible because if we are updating C1, C2, C3 continuously, then at one point we will be having differences as 0. And then when we will calculate next set of C1, C2, C3 or centers, then the
Mhm.
centers will not change.
Yeah. So if you have large data set, it might take a lot of time to get it zero. So you may have to give some accuracy level, or you may either give the number of iterations, just like in genetic algorithm. Have you done genetic algorithm, you guys?
No, sir, we have not studied it yet.
Okay, in advanced operations, what all algorithms have you done?
Sir, actually, that module 4 is remaining. Sir said that he'll be taking genetic algorithm next.
What all algorithms have you done in
Sir,
that
we
course?
have not done
You have
any
to start.
algorithm for now in heuristics or meta heuristics.
Huh?
Sir, we have
Have to
not
be.
done such any algorithm for now. We are on state space search algorithm for now, as much as I can remember.
Okay. You've done integer. I just wanted to know what all, because if I refer it later, it may not be something gibberish to you. So you've done integer programming?
Sir,
Yes,
in
sir. Linear
integer,
integer dynamic convex optimization we have done.
sir, in integer programming, there was a similar type of problem in which we have to group a point of plants in a cluster so that the distance between the plant and the warehouse is minimum.
No, I mean, that's different. Let's not mix totally. So
Okay, sir.
let's not mix it at all. So I just wanted to know that what all algorithms. So you've done state space means that you're doing uh, that what do you call, in queuing you use it. Okay. So okay. So now with this, what advantage? Now there are ways in which we can converge it. We can tell 100 iterations. We can tell the minimum accuracy level with which there should be convergence towards the centers, or you can say 0 0. I mean that really takes your algorithm for a ride. So you don't want that to happen. Okay, so what are the advantages and disadvantages of this unsupervised first is that there are not many clustering algorithms available for supervised learning, unsupervised learning. So this is one which gives you an edge. Okay, you know now one algorithm which is doing unsupervised learning. Most of the algorithms are towards supervised learning. Okay, you don't have too many. Now it may take you towards a local optima. Are you getting it? This algorithm may end in a local optima. So that's why I asked whether you know local and global optima, you know meta heuristics. So that's why I asked. So it seems that you people are not still yet to get exposed to it. But anyway, So if you can club a genetic algorithm with uh, these algorithms like KNN, K nearest neighbor, or I mean, let's leave K nearest neighbor. We say K means. So if you can club genetic algorithm with K means, you can escape the local optima and get a better solution. Okay. So this is one
Okay, sir.
you can say. And other disadvantages is that again it requires K. You have to specify K, which is subjective. Now, this is a hyperparameter, just like um, in the KNN as well. KNN was able to handle noisy data, but then it is that is supervised and this is unsupervised, so we can't compare apples and oranges. So let's not talk about KNN at all. But this algorithm will not be able to handle noisy data. Can anyone tell what is the meaning of noisy data? And even outliers are there, this algorithm will perform badly. So can you tell what is noisy data? Can anyone tell what is noise in data?
So noise are refers to outliners.
All the outliers are called noise. Noise is something like a persistent variable. There's a variable which is causing persistent or continuous variation in the values. Okay. Like you can say all the values are increased by 1 because of one particular variable, 1 unit. Okay. So you can say that to be a noise. For example, if you are listening to music and there is someone drilling somewhere, so you will call that as a noise. Okay. And it is there throughout the music, even though your music, like your data is changing, your music is changing, bass and treble, and you're getting a good music, but then there's a continuous drilling sound. So if you can remove that, so the noise is sort of a continuous addition in the data, addition or subtraction, I mean continuous, you can say, which can be removed. And this now what happens, why do we want to remove the noise or want to take care of the noise is that it will either take your take your data to a new level altogether, which it should not have been. Okay. For example, if you're predicting what will be the temperature, so the temperature is you predicted it right, but there was a noise, and because of the noise you are showing 2 extra units of temperature, 2 degree extra, because there was a noise. Maybe because of the adjacent machine or adjacent there is a refrigerator which is continuously increasing your setup temperature. Getting it? So noise is that kind of a situation. We don't want to have too much noise, or you would want to have algorithms which can take care of noise. Okay, so while this algorithm can't take care of noisy data and outliers, also it is only suitable for it is not suitable for non-convex data set. What is non-convex? All of you know what is convex, right? So anything which is not convex is non-convex. So these are some disadvantages of k-means. Okay, now we talk about this more tomorrow in the practical class. Now we do the presentation.